Okay, so Wednesday, 13th of December. How cool is that? Every day. Now, the big thing today is I'm going to be working a lot, seeing how international I can truly be, working abroad, different country, different time zone, very important. But most important thing I wanted to discuss right here, right now, was mistakes of the past. Not regret, not lament, but how to avoid making the same mistakes of history without the pain. Sin sufrir, without the pain. So, we want to be humble. There's certain personality types, humility or being overly pride, stubborn, and sensitive. Those personality types will hold you back in life. Pride, sensitive, and stubborn, they'll hold you back. They will prevent you in different ways from being humble. By being humble, you'll understand the messages, the lessons, the mistakes, the errors, the blunders of the past. History, people, mankind, wars, society, civilization, everything. The more humble you are, the easier you can recognize your own mistakes, the mistakes of others, especially your own mistakes of others, and how you can learn and what you can learn from the mistakes of others. Very important, being humble. And then it's a question of learning as much as you can about history. So, for example, recently I was thinking about, nice and nerdy, Queen Victoria, about how one person in a family died, a central figure in the family died, and how that led to fragmentation of the family. Interesting bit of history right there. This is like 100 years ago. This happened 100 years ago. What central figure in the family dies, and how that affected the relations between all other cousins and relatives and aunts and uncles in Europe, in this case, which led to war. Okay, interesting. So there's a big lesson right there in terms of family relations. And I was listening to a podcast a week ago, I guess now, and it was talking about the book by, I forgot the name exactly, but Conceived in Liberty. Learning about all the different tests and experiments that happened in the colonial era of the Americas, well, in modern day Canada and the USA on the East Coast. Different cultures and states, different colonies, etc. had different rules, different ways of managing society. Some failed faster than others. Others, they abandoned it. Others were too focused on one thing, as opposed to sustainability and longevity. Different focuses, different experiments, different tests. Conceived in liberty. Interesting. Because it seems to be that in the grand scheme of mankind in history, we're always looking for the most optimal way of being free. So we're always looking for where we are treated best. Okay. So how does that affect you and not suffering, learning from the past, learning from mistakes? Well, by being humble and curious to learn about the past, we can learn and recognize as many mistakes from the past as possible. We can take lessons from Queen Victoria and how her death affected the families of Europe, the royal families of Europe, and the societies and the geopolitics of the time. We can look at the history of the colonies 300-400 years ago, and how those relations, those politics of the time, the human psychology back then, just like it's today, affected society and communities back then. So it's a question of being humble. Interesting. But then we can't learn, we can't read every single day, we can't read history books here, there, everywhere. ChatGPT, AI. Yeah, the blogs, videos, podcasts, by all means, but we can also learn from ChatGPT. Major history lessons of the past. Interesting. Big historical periods in human history. Break it down. Give me actionable steps. What big lessons can we learn from this war, that war, this period, the Tudor period? What can we learn about Henry VIII and his 6 wives in terms of relationships? What can we learn about, say, the Wright brothers in terms of innovation, perseverance, persistence, humility? You tell me. What can we learn from, say, JP Morgan in terms of finance, in terms of money management? You tell me. You ask ChatGPT, for example. There's books out there. You go on Amazon. You can find them easily, no problem. You go on YouTube. You can find all sorts of history channels. The information's out there. So then you could argue, if the information's out there, then is ignorance a choice? You tell me. Ignorance, not knowing things. Is it a choice or not? That's another conversation. But we want to be humble and keep learning. So humility and curiosity, fundamental, very important for growing and learning in this life and in the world. That way, the more we learn about the past, the more mistakes we can avoid in the present. And the more we learn about how relations were strained 100 years ago when Queen Victoria died, the more we can learn about human psychology today and predict people's actions into the future. Because humans haven't changed much over the past 10,000 or so years. That's another conversation. So if we know how people reacted 100 years ago, 2, 3, 4, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, the chances are they will react the same way today. And that's just human nature. That's something else. Very interesting, very important. Yeah. So how can we avoid the mistakes of the past without suffering? Humility and curiosity. Priceless attributes to having life. That way, always learning, always growing, being better today than yesterday. Fundamental. So otherwise, today I'm experimenting. I'm being curious. I'm doing a big experiment to see how easy it is to work abroad. A different country, different time zone. I got my first few lessons, first few clients in an hour or so. Perfect, let's do it. Let's explore, experiment, experience. Very important. And always learning, always growing, being humble, and always increasing my value in life. Take it from there. And I'm so glad I started these videos, these podcasts. It's just so much fun. Nice little habit to have every single day. And nice to make every single one unique compared to the previous one or previous ones. So, and I was planning to record this video somewhere else, but it's closed right now, so I need to wait for tomorrow. Not a problem. And I got plans for Friday's lesson. For this Thursday, nice little unique garden. Friday, nice little Vistula, over the Vistula. How cool is that? So, how can we avoid the mistakes of the past without suffering? Curiosity, or humility. Curiosity. How cool is that? I'll see you tomorrow.